Marketers say personal brand matters, but how to start building it while being a 9 to 5 marketer? How to get approvals to do that during working hours? What are the benefits for the company? And which tools to use? How to actually start doing that? So today's guest knows all the answers. Maria Ledentsova built the entire content engine at MyGear from scratch, starting with strategy, messaging, distribution, so while growing her own LinkedIn presence into a trusted voice among B2B marketers. She used team members' personal brands to bring actual clients to the company, influence decision making, and support fundraisers and sales. So today we're unpacking a simple but very uncomfortable question. Is building a personal brand worth for a full-time B2B marketer, or is it just another unpaid side hustle? We will dig into why has personal brand became a competitive edge for marketers, the real opportunities it brings, and the challenges that you will definitely face on that journey. So if you are ever wondered whether it's worth the time, this episode is for you. That's B2B Marketing Flywheel podcast. I'm your host, Nick Rybak. So let's dive in. Maria, welcome. I'm really excited about this episode because you're one of the few marketers who actually do what most only tweet about. You build your own personal brand. You managed to build both brands at the same time, a content machine for MyGear and your personal one. So the sign of your huge success, I think, is me seeing MyGear's post all over my feed, which I actually secretly envy. Since MyGear is a competitor of Forsets, kind of, we are both in the Webflow space. I'm joking, actually. So it is really a pleasure having you here. So how are you doing?
Oh, thank you so much for the kind words. I'm very, very excited to be here. And I also am, excited to see Magyar continuing to be present on LinkedIn after I used to work there as a founding marketer to build up, our content engine and everything. And now working for myself. But I'm very, very excited. Very excited to talk to you and to talk everything LinkedIn marketing and personal branding.
Yeah, same here. I'm really excited talking about the huge success you've accomplished at MyGear and your personal brand and some strategic insights and tactics and tools and everything related to personal brand. I think we'll be able to cover here today. And with all of that, I have a first question. What do you see has changed in B2B marketing in terms of personal brand? Is it more important now than it was before, or not?
I would say personal branding for sure is more important right now than it used to be. And I notice this trend. I think a lot of people are noticing this trend that buyers are trusting people so much more than they trust brands. I mean, it's always been the case, but now more than ever with AI developments, with so much generic content, with so many brand accounts like overpromising, no faces behind brands. Like how should you trust like an entity? It's really hard to do, I feel like, for me as a person, but also for everyone I talk to. You can also see this trend in Microsoft has a certain amount of followers on LinkedIn, but the CEO of Microsoft has many more followers on LinkedIn, because people follow people, people trust people. And that is like a general trend in B2B, I would say. Also, you can see it in the organic reach for company pages. It's like terrible. Personal accounts outperform always. Algorithms are starting to favor stories, like storytelling based on experiences, and much over like generic content that AI can spit out in seconds, which some people are doing because they want to, shortcut content creation. I would say it doesn't always work. People want authenticity and to see actual humans behind screens and connect with them. So I think that's like a general trend and a welcome development in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree with that. And especially with these kind of new job postings that you see all over the LinkedIn feed, like PayPal is hiring like head of SEO content.
Yeah.
Like OpenAI that hires like a head of content and so on, especially
Mm.
like in the age of AI. Uh, that's actually signs that I think it becomes more important and not less. And taking into account all of that, why do you think so many marketers still treat personal brand as an optional thing, and they mostly focus on companies' LinkedIn pages, companies'
Mm.
brand rather than their personal ones, or maybe even thought leadership from companies. That's also a great part of companies' brand. I think people that are actually building that company.
Hmm. Well, I think there are two things. Okay, so the marketers, why they don't build a personal brand or like why they're still resisting this change is that I think they still treat LinkedIn more of a CV, like a CV, like this is a place for my experience, and then I just apply to jobs and that's enough. I think, yeah, LinkedIn has changed a lot from a CV platform to a creator platform. I would say a lot over the years. Like it used to be so boring to be on LinkedIn, but now if you follow the right people, you can have, I would say, a great time if you follow the right people. It's it can be a bit addictive. I don't know.
For
Similar,
sure.
not as much as TikTok and Instagram, but it's getting there. And I mean, LinkedIn, I think, from what I've read, is also going more into the video direction. It's gonna go more in the video direction in the future because video content is very engaging and keeps people on the platform longer. So let's see how that is going to develop. But why marketers still resist building a personal brand is maybe because they underestimate the importance of LinkedIn and also the impact that their account can have on the opportunities that they get. I think CV is the first impression probably because the recruiter sees a CV, then they go to the link to your LinkedIn profile or they Google you, then they see your LinkedIn account. So it should act as your landing page, show that you're human, show that you're an expert. Ideally, have some content where you talk about your expertise and your opinions on the industry and what you do and why you do it. Like comparing, as a recruiter, if I were to see two accounts or two potential candidates and one of them has a very generic, bland LinkedIn account and the other one is very opinionated, interesting, I would for sure, I think I would for sure go for the person who is opinionated, outgoing, passionate, right? So I think just underestimating the importance and the impact it can have on your life, that's one of the reasons they think CV is just enough visibility. And then for thought leadership, I talked to a lot of marketers who are worried that their employer will think they want to quit if they start posting on LinkedIn and start getting out there. Like that their employer will assume that they want to leave the company and start get other jobs because they're posting on LinkedIn. So I think there has to be a conversation between founders or like leaders of companies, of startups or scale-ups or enterprises and their employees to empower them to post, to tell them that personal branding is good for everyone, teach them, support them in doing it. If there is no support, if there is no trust, if the employers are trying to really control what people are saying online, what the employees are saying online, it's not a very good environment. It means you're maybe hiding something. I don't think it's a good sign. Of course, it can be guardrails like don't disclose, the revenue that we're making, but or like something. Don't, of course, obviously don't say if we're losing revenue or something very dramatic. But generally, you should trust your employees that they're gonna act in your interests, and give them the freedom to share what they're thinking online, I think.
Yeah, let's talk about benefits for the company a bit later. But for now,
Yeah.
I'm more interested actually in what kind of opportunities opened up for you because of your personal brand. Because like getting a new job is, I think, the most obvious one, and many people just basically happy with their jobs. Is there any like opportunities that can help you with the current one, maybe get more results for the current company or negotiate a better salary, or I don't know, any other opportunities?
Yeah, well, so many. Like it's hard even to count, but I don't know. So it opened so many doors for me. Like, first of all, of course, like invites to speak in podcasts like this one. I'm very very grateful. Like, so interesting speaking opportunities. I met so many incredible people. I made so many new friends as well from LinkedIn, which I never would have thought would happen. I got to collaborate with tools, so I grew my like account as a creator on LinkedIn, and now I get sponsorship deals with brands that I've been admiring or using for a very long time. So I can create content for them, and it's like super super fun for me to do. And they get visibility because they get in front of the audience that they want to reach, right? Marketers and founders. Once I did quit my job, I mean, you mentioned kind of job opportunities is the obvious thing. But of course, once I quit my job, I also got multiple like 6-figure full-time opportunities that I could have accepted if I wanted to, which I decided to continue on my solopreneurship journey for now. But just knowing that there are people who would be willing to hire me and pay me really well if I wanted to accept those opportunities, that was a very good feeling, just like knowing that I am safe if I want to go back to a 9 to 5 job. It's not in my plan right now, but it's good to know. And I feel like, of course, while I was at my gear, because of my audience I'm building, I was seen as, the content expert. Obviously, I could prove that I am good at what I do because people trusted us. We got leads, we got clients for my gear. So it wasn't just, of course, in my interest that I was building my personal brand. And I could really, I think, demonstrate that through my personal brand, we can also get clients for the company. Um, and I was supporting the team also in posting on LinkedIn. So it wasn't just about me and about my account and my opportunities. Of course, it was also about the company. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. Yeah.
Um, will that be fair to say that personal brand would be like a shield for B2B marketer, especially with fear of AI? Obviously, content creation is the first thing that people usually think of, like replacing with AI, because especially if you are not an expert as a manager in content creation, it seems like AI can produce a great content. And I know that many content marketers, they are just simply afraid of being replaced by AI. Uh, will that be fair to say that personal brand would be the shield for them of not being replaced?
That's a good question. I think generally, content marketers who don't know how to use AI, I mean, that's like a typical thing to say. I think they will probably be replaced by people who can use AI. You need to know how to use it well, and how to use it without starting to write generic content that nobody needs, but how you can use it to just speed up your workflows. In terms of is there less of a chance that you'll be replaced or laid off if you have a personal brand? I find it hard to tell. It really depends on if the founders are supporting personal branding, I guess. If they see it as a valuable asset, I think many founders do. Some founders still are on the fence about it. Um, but I would say that maybe that shouldn't be a concern, because if you do get laid off and you have a personal brand, then at least you have a personal brand, so you can get more opportunities, right? So it's not something to be afraid of. I feel like I would be more nervous about getting laid off if I didn't have my personal brand, because then I'm competing with so many other marketers based on RCVs, um, only RCVs. And that's like the challenge, because right now the market is kind of oversaturated. I mean, I there every job you apply to, there are like 300, 400, 500 applicants as a marketer, especially junior roles, but also senior roles. Um, so I would say it's not really a shield from getting laid off, but it gives you some not stability, but some you can trust that you will get other opportunities, which is and have higher chance of landing those opportunities if you have a personal brand. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I love that. So, uh, just a quick summary. So, you think that having a personal brand helps to um, basically be more competitive as a marketer on the market when you apply for a job.
Yes.
Also, it helps you, as you said, it gives you an opportunity to like have some partnership deals on promoting some products and so on, which is basically a second income
Mm-hmm.
stream for people who work 9 to 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, anything else?
Uh, Gosh, that's already a lot of points. You are building your audience.
Yes.
You have more opportunities. You are able to grow and learn and practice and test a lot of ideas as well with your own account. So, for example, at Magyar, whenever I had a content idea or I had a campaign idea, I could just also test it with my account. It's very low stake. I could, yeah, test new content formats. I could test new hooks and approaches, and um, it was just, really, really cool that you have a channel that is your own, that you can use for experimenting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's also a great point, actually. No one talks about, I think.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the benefits and opportunities for B2B marketers. But
Hmm.
I think to prove the value of that, they have to somehow show uh, how that benefits marketing strategy of B2B brand. Why is that like a good side to spread some focus on that? So how to actually prove that to stakeholders? What are the pros that you can bring as a 9 to 5 B2B marketer to the company so they are like allowing you to grow your personal brand while you're working? Fits.
Well, so many benefits again. There are just too many because, for example, of course, if your employees are posting online and they're talking about what it's like to work at the company, day in the life of working at your company, or this week we had a team event and we had so much fun, and I love working at this company, then anyone who, whenever you're hiring, you're going to automatically attract, more of the right people to your company, because the people will already be knowledgeable about what it's like to work there, if that would be something that they would be interested in, if it's like remote culture, or if it's like a very open-minded company, people will talk about it. Your employees can talk about it, what it's like to work with you, and that will attract more people who will want to work with you. And when you're hiring, that's a good selling point because your company has a very positive sentiment online as well, and on LinkedIn and beyond. Of course, also another thing is if you have one founder posting, the founder can get, I don't know, anywhere from 100 impressions to maybe 100,000 impressions a month. But if, depending on how good the content is, but if you have, imagine like 20, 30 people posting, even if their reach is not super high, them all together posting every month gives you more credibility, because it's not one person talking about the company, and posting and building a personal brand and building trust. But 20 people, so there's more people to trust for sure. And like the trust is distributed among different people. And also, of course, they can attract a lot of awareness, bring you a lot of awareness as well, altogether. And they humanize your company, of course. So there are just so many benefits. Like, if, yeah, it attracts talent, great talent to your company. It's easier to hire. It's easier to convince people to join because they see amazing people working there and their future colleagues who they feel like they know already, which is like, amazing. Like when we were hiring for the new marketer at Magyar, I got so many messages being like, I've been following your journey. I've been following your posts, and it would be an honor for me to, take over as a marketer at Magyar. Like, it would be amazing to step into your, your steps. And it was so cute. And people were like, I would love to learn from you. You could, if you're doing the handover, like, I would love to have a few weeks with you where you hand over some tasks. And I'm sure you're going to prepare it well. Like, so people trust your employees, people trust the team, and they want to be a part of that. If the sentiment is positive, of course people want to join. People want to join the movement, basically. So I think that's beautiful, and that's something to support and not to suppress.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are the benefits of HR brand. They are really, really helpful in building a like a general brand and getting trust and attract the better talents
Hmm.
at your company. And so basically, my gear's target audience is marketers. And do you think this will work if your like company's target audience not marketing related people, but let's say CTOs or some really deep tech people? Do you think
Yeah,
this will work?
I think it will work because I mean, it's not only about the marketer posting about a company, and it's also just the team. Like every person in a team can post it, from the most technical IT person to the designer or the web developer or the founder or the designer. Like at my gear, also the designers post and the webflow developers post, and and the head of a department also post. So it's if the target audience is, I don't know, very technical CTOs, at your company, the founder can build trust. I think the founder is always a great profile to have in the arsenal of personal brands. It's one of the most important ones. Then, of course, if you also have a CTO, like that person posting would make sense in that case because he understands the pain points of the target audience, and then of course anyone else, because it's like, again, the more people post, the more trust you get, and the more you can feel the energy of the company all in all, and you reach more people. So I say it's possible with any company, any target audience, as long as they're on LinkedIn. As long as your target audience is on LinkedIn, you can reach them and you can build trust. And you need a good strategy, of course. That's another topic, but it's all yeah. There is a lot of value there.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic, truly. Um, on the other side, these are all like a good things to have, obviously. Is there any downside of doing that no one talks about,
Mm,
or something that is not really obvious?
I wouldn't say it's a downside. It's more of a challenge. It can be tricky to motivate people to post, right? So you may need to have a few tries even to activate your team if you want to motivate them to post. So it may feel like an ongoing battle, I could say, because you need to motivate people, you need to educate people, you need to support people, and that is can be very challenging. You may need a few different angles, a few different tries, um, a few challenges that you could run as well to motivate people. I guess the pressure is if you start with like a big campaign, all employees posting, this pressure to stay consistent. I guess that is a little bit of a, again, challenge, downside. I don't know how to phrase it. Because you may feel like you don't want to post or you don't have any ideas, and then you feel like, oh, but I already started and I need to continue. I've heard this from the team members at Magyar also, like when they were talking to me about their challenges, like, I want to post, but then some days, I don't feel like it, or I'm stuck with
Yeah.
so much work and I don't know what to do and I don't know how to phrase it. It's a challenge. I don't think it's a downside. It's a challenge, and it's a solvable challenge. There are tactics that can help, and there are AI tools that can help. There are, practices. Yeah, I teach also that, can help you come up with ideas. So there are ways to solve this challenge. Sometimes it can be hard to decide what is oversharing and what is like providing value, how much to share. Again, it's more of a challenge. I think in terms of downsides, like direct downsides, I don't think there are downsides if you're doing it well with the strategy, and not just random generic shit posting. If you're not doing that, if you have a strategy and if you're following it, and you're being authentic and you're writing posts yourself that are valuable for your audience, I think there are no downsides. But there are a few challenges that are solvable.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's imagine the situation where no one really posts anything on LinkedIn at the company at that time, and some B2B marketer like you are, you decide that you just basically need to start, and that can be a great strategy for a company, and you will be the first one in the company. If we just imagine the situation where you can be like judged internally, like for being visible, or I mean, there can be some fears of doing that, like
For
that your
sure.
coworkers will think that, for example, you are doing that just to like pump your personal brand and then lead the
Mm,
company, or that you are not really doing your work, like executing your marketing strategy,
mm,
and just wanted to focus and allocate company's resources on your personal brand. How to actually address that, like fears and
mm,
topics inside of the company?
mm. Well, I'm a huge proponent of transparency. So you just, if you have all hands meetings as a marketer and you're the first marketer posting in the company, let's say, I would mention that, LinkedIn is a key channel for us and building trust, even through my account, will have benefits for the whole company. And that, people trust people. I would say the whole thing, people trust people. I am one of these people who are representing the company, and through my personal brand, I will be sharing both, stories from my experience, what I'm learning, my lessons, my mistakes. I will be teaching, I will be providing value, and I will be mentioning the company as well. But it's all part of my strategy. I would just communicate that it's all strategic and not I'm randomly posting to leave the company sometime soon. Like, I think transparently sharing what your plan is, if people are starting to get worried or confused or starting to judge you, um, I think it's just a lack of understanding for the platform and for what you're doing. So if you have a strategy, talk about that strategy. And I think that will bring the clarity that people need to not control you as much and not watch your every step and be confused. Does it
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so let's say we agreed on doing that internally. We addressed
Mm.
all of the fears and pain points. Some people will basically say that I don't have time to post, especially like B2B marketers, because it's easier to post on someone else's behalf, like on company's page and so on.
Mm.
But when you post from your own perspective, it can be scary. So, and I would assume that people, it will be easier to procrastinate rather than when you are building a company's brand, right? Because that's not your own. So what is your response for people who are saying like, I don't have time or resources to do that?
Again, it's a challenge, of course. I guess it's about priorities. If you can, like, it's actually not like you need 40 hours a week or 10 hours a week to post on LinkedIn. I always tell people, like, one of the first things I teach is that you need to write as you speak. So there are, for example, tools that can help you. Of course, ChatGPT, you can just talk to it and then you have ask it to clean it up a little bit. And then you have a post that sounds like you. Or you can, use other tools like Whisper, which is like lets you speak content instead of writing it, so it saves some time. You don't need like an hour to do a LinkedIn post. Maybe initially it will take you some practice, right? You're overthinking a lot and you're
Yeah,
questioning your
absolutely.
every word, and you don't have a strategy maybe in the beginning. So then it all feels overwhelming, and you're like, what should I even post about, and where do I even start? But again, there are tactics for it. Like, I follow a very specific strategy, and that I also teach, which is like, you want to attract people. You have some content that is aimed at attracting new people to your account. You have some content that is more about educating and building trust. And then you have some content that is more promotional to actually tell people how you can help them and how your company can help them. So that is kind of the strategy I follow. Once you know what the subtopics are for achieving these things, for each section of the strategy, then it's much easier to come up with content. I recommend, like, ideally 3 posts a week so that your content is not just attracting people, but also converting, also getting you clients and potential like opportunities and growing your account. Um, I don't have time to post is a very, very common thing I
Yeah.
hear. Again, there are tools. There's ChatGPT that can help you phrase your ideas better. There are, tools like Whisper. There are tools, of course, like Notion. There are tools like Metricool that lets you schedule content. Like also you can use LinkedIn native scheduling tool, which lets you schedule posts. I would say, okay, if you say you don't have time, allocate, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours a week. Everyone has 1 to 2 hours a week. If you don't have that, I think you need to take another look at your calendar, because I think it's possible to find. Stop scrolling on Instagram and allocate the time to writing. But have 1 to 2 hours, pre-write, free posts for the week, ideally for different stages, like with different goals in mind, like one to attract new people, one to educate about something that you're an expert on, and then one more about what you do and who you help and who the company helps if you're an employee. And just schedule it for the week. And in terms of visuals, I think if you don't have time, spend more time on writing than on the visuals. So the visual can be just a picture. Then you don't have to spend, 3 hours editing a carousel, which can happen quite quickly if you're doing infographics, carousels, videos. It can take you a lot of time. So if you don't have time, focus on the text and the value in a written post. And then the visual, I would say, can be a secondary thing if you really don't have time. Yeah.
You've mentioned some of the tools you're using.
Yes.
Could you please share like the
Yes.
exact workflow that you've mastered over the last couple of years? So the exact steps that you follow to produce like this high quality content that you share on LinkedIn.
Okay, of course. Well, I start always in my Notion. I have an ideas bank. So I have like just a database where I collect all of my ideas. I have a plugin in Chrome, which is free. It's called Save to Notion. I can share all of the resources with you also in a follow-up message, and you can share them with everyone. But Save to Notion is great. You can scroll LinkedIn, you can scroll any other website, you can click the button and it adds this content idea, you can write a note and save it to your content calendar so that you can post about it later. So you see something interesting, a tool, a message, a topic, and then a trend, and you can save it to your content calendar. So then, I don't always pre-schedule. I actually am quite spontaneous nowadays with my posts. Sometimes I pre-schedule if I know I'm going to be out for a week on vacation, then I pre-schedule my content, but I post every day. So, or like six to seven times a week. So for me, it doesn't really take that long typically to write a LinkedIn post anymore. It used to take me much longer. I have my ideas bank. I have my content strategy. I actually have like a template that helps me follow this content strategy that I teach. So the one I described, where you have one post to attract new people to the account, which is hot take or trending content or a story or a free resource. So that I post once a week or more or more. And then one post I have, which is more about my mistakes, my lessons, like a lesson, a mistake, pain point of my audience that I address to help them with it, or a tutorial of some sort, a quick screen share tutorial. So something to build trust. That is a second post I do, or like 2 or 3 posts a week of that. And then the last pillar that I have is posts that are about how I can help and who I help and how I can help, how people can work with me, who I've worked with. And that is the same strategy I also used when I was working at Magyar. I was posting who we help, who we are, what are the benefits of working with Magyar over other agencies, or what is the difference of our model compared to the regular agency model. So you can really, the last pillar is like all about who you help, what you do, and actually being very direct with your calls to action, being like, book a demo call or DM me a keyword and I'll send you some information about this. So that is kind of the strategy I follow. I schedule content. I draft the content in Notion. I have my own custom GPT in ChatGPT, which is trained on my tone of voice, my previous posts, some of my consultation calls, and my LinkedIn strategy. So basically it knows everything that I teach, more or less. And so sometimes I ask it for feedback. I refine the post together with the ChatGPT or custom GPT. Then I have it all in Notion. I plan it out. I design visuals typically with Canva. I have very simple Canva templates for my carousels. Oftentimes I post pictures, or I record a very quick screen share video with Screen Studio, which is a tool that I use for screen recordings. Then I schedule the posts in Metricool. I can add the visuals. I can also decide if I want to also cross post to Instagram, which is not really my focus platform, but sometimes I do it to be active a little bit on Instagram. But I'm focusing on LinkedIn and YouTube, and I can also post on YouTube there from this Metricool platform. It's really convenient. Schedule, and once it goes live, I engage on LinkedIn. I reply to comments quite quickly when I get comments. Whenever I do lead magnet posts where I ask people to comment the keywords and then they'll get a free resource from me, that is when I use a tool called Lead Shark. I can send you also a link to it. But it basically lets me automatically send links to people that comment, because that takes ages, literal ages.
Yeah,
I used to do it manually, and it took me like 8 hours a day sometimes. It was a lot of work.
that's crazy.
So now I'm happy there is an automation tool for that. Yeah, but that is typically my workflow. That's literally it.
What do you think? How to address that? Like, I think quite popular opinion that I have nothing to say about. I mean, when people are in the trenches, but they still have like this imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
and they think that they have nothing to say about. They're not really experts, despite having like maybe a decade of experience, or at least couple of years doing everyday work. I mean,
Yeah.
they should be experts in something, right? But
Yeah.
I that actually resonates with me, because
Mhm.
sometimes I think the same. And how to
Mhm.
overcome this nothing unique to say state and actually start producing content.
Yeah. That's a very valid, a very, very good question, because I used to also feel like, an imposter. Like, I don't know, there are so many people with 20 years of experience, and I don't have 20 years of experience, and I'm still, considered young. And I don't know. I was also questioning a lot if people will listen to me, if what I'm saying is valuable. But the thing is, your content is valuable, because if you're speaking from your own experience, if you're sharing how you're approaching topics, what is your opinion on the industry, on a topic, on how to do something, that is very valuable, because people want to see how other people do it, basically. And how I approach, I don't know, scripting a video, how I approach posting on LinkedIn might be different to how other people do it, and
Yeah.
different approaches resonate differently with different people. So I would say, because you're sharing your own experience, your own lessons and mistakes, and how you do something, that makes you the expert on what you do and how you do things, and that is very valuable for other people to learn. And you might help them with your experience to do something that they're trying to do. So I mean, just focus on the value that you provide. So if it's, for example, I don't know, if you've developed and designed so many landing pages, what did you learn from it? What did you notice in terms of what leads to conversion and what doesn't? If you really write from your experience, then there's nothing that you can say that is wrong. It's just observations, right? So you are obviously an expert if you've done it so many times. I would say switch the mindset from being an expert and guru and like preaching to everyone, this is the right way and every other way is wrong, to this is my experience, this is how I do it, this is what the results are that it brought me, this is what I learned. You basically just document what you're doing at work. You're sharing your processes, how you approach challenges, how you approach designing and developing landing pages, What are some things you're learning? What are the behind the scenes? What are the tools that are helping you? What are, the strategies that you use and apply? What are the mistakes that you've made that you learned from? What is your opinion how other people do it? Are they doing it better? Are they doing it like in your opinion? Are they taking the right approach or not? And why do you think that? Like sharing your opinion is you cannot literally be wrong. Like it's just your opinion, right? It's how you do things. You may be doing them differently. Share your templates. Like if you have a certain system, you can share it with others to try themselves, and they will be very grateful that you share this template with them. So I think if you focus on adding value to your target audience's lives, so if it's marketers, helping them with their challenge of building a new landing page from scratch, which is very overwhelming, and there are so many resources, but you can talk about why this approach for you works so well, and maybe they will trust you because they like you as a person and they trust your expertise. So yeah, I think I have nothing new to say. It's just untrue. Like every one of us has something to teach and has knowledge that other people don't have. So it would be a disservice to others to not share it, because I would love to learn from others. I think there's not enough educational content online because every single person has something to teach in a new angle, from a new angle, that may resonate better with me than someone else's content. So,
That's actually a brilliant thought. I think that you are not being like, I mean, to overcome this imposter syndrome. If you position yourself and your content basically as an observation, not like an expert content, which is basically just changing the title for that.
yeah.
But I think internally that makes a bit different, feeling about that, and it will be easier to just start if you think of that in that way. So that's I really like that idea. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
What do you think? What are the skills from personal branding that translate directly into being a stronger B2B marketer?
That is a good one. What are the skills that make someone who has a personal brand a strong B2B marketer? I think one of the key skills that you learn while building your personal brand is how to write clearly, how to communicate your ideas in a way that is well structured, that resonates, that reads authentically, or like you can show your personality but also hook people in. So I think that's a very interesting combination of skills that you need to do that. Like you really learn how to write, which is writing is like the foundation of all marketing. Like writing, copywriting is like the foundation. I really sometimes think most of the marketing education should be focused on how to write and like messaging and positioning, but also like writing, copywriting. I think it's not taught well enough, especially now with ChatGPT. Like the content is becoming more generic, and we really need to go against the grain there. Really focus on how do I communicate this idea best, in a way that doesn't sound generic and boring and complicated. So that is, I think, the number one thing, writing clearly. Also, because it's a personal brand and you're writing for humans, as a human, you're trying to provide value. I think just this like writing for humans, understanding their challenges and helping your audience solve their challenges that they're also telling you they're having. You have a direct feedback from, if you have a personal brand, you have direct feedback from your audience. They can comment, they can let you know if they're struggling with something. And that makes you understand, okay, there are actual people facing very specific challenges, and I can help them with my content to solve these problems that they have, potentially, if I'm the right person. And the same thing applies to being a marketer and doing marketing for a company on any other channel. You're helping solve challenges that people are facing, your target audience is facing. So that can apply to any challenge. Just like this feeling or like this understanding that here are the people, here are the problems. I need to try to help them solve these problems with my tool or SaaS or service. And that is the whole idea of marketing. How do I communicate it best? What are some different ways I can talk about it? How do I build trust? How do I help them solve related challenges that they're facing? I think it really grounds you, like having a personal brand and learning from the audience. It grounds you and it reminds you there are actual people there who need help, and they are not just personas, like because
Yeah,
in
random
marketing,
impressions.
exactly, random impressions. In marketing, we always use these fancy words like target audience and persona and customer profile and ICP. And it really dehumanizes, I think, the
Yeah,
people
absolutely.
that are actually needing your help. So I think personal branding, because you can write to people directly, right? It really makes you feel like you're having an impact and reminds you that there are people there. And yeah, storytelling, of course, but I already said like writing, clearly copywriting, storytelling, understanding your audience's pain points at a deeper level, communicating complex ideas super simply, and also testing messaging, because you test a lot. If you post every day on LinkedIn, you test so much more for free than you ever could on like ads and other channels.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so
Mm-hmm.
let's quickly summarize everything
Yes.
we've just discussed. So, if
Okay.
someone is starting from scratch today, what should their first 30 days look like?
First 30 days, if you're just starting out, I would say you start by fixing your profile. So optimizing your profile, because that is what people will see if they read any of your posts, or if they, come across your profile randomly. If it's a potential recruiter as well, they see your profile. It needs to be up to date. No pictures from 20 years ago when you were in high school. You can update that, update your tagline, where you work for, what you work for, also your like experience section. I think one of my biggest pet peeves is when, and maybe that's controversial, I don't know, one of my biggest pet peeves is that some people in their experience section, they have the company, maybe they have kind of what they do at the company. Like I do content marketing at this company, but they don't say what the company does. So as a reader, like as someone who goes to the profile, you need to first kind of click on the company account, understand what they do. Then you can come back to this person and be like, okay, the company is a service for web design. Okay, interesting. But like, why not just as an employee write, Magier is a design agency, or I don't know, anything else like HubSpot is a CRM tool that helps blah 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 do the blah blah blah, and then you say I did this and this and this, and then you add a link to the website also in the experience section. Like I think that's like such an easy thing to do, and it makes everyone's recruiters' lives easier. It makes,
Yeah,
other
absolutely.
people's lives easier that see your profile. So highly
And
recommend
not
adding
many
that.
people do that actually.
Surprisingly few, which I don't know why. So if you're listening to this, I highly recommend adding that. Then you start, I guess, you need to get clarity on who you're writing for and what your goals are with LinkedIn, of course. Potentially you need to discuss it with your employer if they're supporting your personal branding journey or not. Like how do they feel about you posting online? Just to get their opinion, if they want you to mention their company or not. If they say, okay, we don't want you to talk about the company, which would be weird, but if they say no, it's fine, you can just focus on attracting new people, so sharing stories, opinions on the industry. You can focus on your lessons, your mistakes. You don't need to mention the company if they are not supportive of it. So there are ways to still build a personal brand, even if your company is not showing their support or the founders are not showing the support. And then, yeah, I guess start drafting your first content ideas. I think I always like to say lack of content ideas is a lack of reflection. Like
Absolutely.
you need a reflection practice to have consistent content ideas. So every Friday I review my week. I see what I did. I ask myself, did I learn something new this week? I check on my analytics, my, impression count, my follower count, how much revenue I got, how much I've spent. all of that. And I also reflect, what are the processes I now use? Is there any tool that I started using that is helping me in my job? Like today, for example, I started using this tool called, I think it's called Cap. It's like an alternative to Loom, but Loom is so expensive. I don't have Loom. So this is like 20 times cheaper, but it does the same thing. Like I'm just exploring it now, so I don't know if I can recommend it yet. But something like this, I could make a post about it and say, okay, Loom is very expensive. Like I found a tool that does the same thing for 20 times cheaper. That could be a post idea, or a lesson that I learned this week, or something that stuck with me, or something I read. It can be anything. So start kind of thinking, reflecting on your week every week, and then you will start thinking of your life. Anything you do, any lesson you have, any mistake you make, you can kind of connect it often to your work experience, or find some value in it that you can share with your audience. Yeah, and I guess build a habit. It's not that you will build a personal brand from one day to the next. It's like building friendships. You need time with people to trust them. That's why in high school and school it's much easier to make friends because you spend every day together.
Yeah.
So same with personal branding. If people see you multiple times a week showing up and sharing behind the scenes, sharing your mistakes, sharing your lessons, sharing value, they will trust you more. You will find new friends, you will find partners and clients just organically because people will trust you more because you show up. So I guess consistently, yeah, is very important. Sorry, was it
Yeah, I
mine?
love that. I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's actually also one excellent idea. Um, that's not actually idea, but more of a quote that you said is lack of content ideas is lack of reflection. I really like that because yeah, I see that in myself. All right, so what do marketers get completely wrong about personal branding?
I think not only marketers, but also marketers, they think people care about their product and what they do and what they post so much that everyone is judging them and looking at them and observing what they do. But the thing is, it's already hard to get attention of people. It's hard to build trust, and it's hard to stop the scroll. So most people don't even get to that point of reading the post and judging you and
Yeah,
observing your every step.
that is
You need
true.
to first stop the scroll. They need to read the post and then they judge you. And to get to that point, you already have to be an amazing marketer. So it's gonna take some practice. So when you're starting out, just assume no one is judging you. And if they are, they might not be your target audience and your target client or your potential friends. Like they're not very relevant to you anyways. So just be yourself. You only live one life. Be yourself. No stranger or colleague or ex-boss or whatever cares that much about what you're doing. We're all living our own lives. If you reflect on your own life, if you see posts on LinkedIn, do you really judge someone for 10 minutes and sit there and look at their post and how dare they write about LinkedIn growth or design? That's my thing.
And
I don't know. Like no one does this.
well, if you are, I think you have enough time to write content yourself. If you have
Yeah,
time to judge
exactly.
other people,
They like people who judge you, are they actually showing up? Because you're showing up and you are attracting people, you're building a personal brand, you're doing the work, you're going to get so much further in life than people who judge you and do nothing. So yeah, live your life, do your thing. What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if someone judges you? Literally, it's not going to impact your life in any way. So yeah,
I love
I
that. I
guess,
love that. Thank you.
of course.
Maria, thank you so much for joining. You've dropped some wisdom bombs here, I believe. I think many B2B marketers will get a ton of value out of that episode from a real practitioner like you. So, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, go follow Maria on LinkedIn. We will drop a link in the description. She shares a sharp tactical insights for B2B marketers on how to overcome competition, how to get a new job, how to write content if you work 9 to 5, how to build a personal brand and stay curious. So thank you for joining, Maria.
Thank you so much, Nick, for having me. It was very fun. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening. And while you're here, add me too on LinkedIn if you want to get some deep dives into B2B websites. And of course, subscribe to the podcast. New episodes drop every 2 weeks. So leave us a like and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much.